365 days. That was the last time these two teams took on each other in the CACC tournament. Mike Vesey joining you for the first round of the men's lacrosse CACC tournament, featuring the 4th-seeded Post-University Eagles and the visiting University of Bridgeport Purple Knights, who come in as the 5th seed. These two teams did battle earlier this year at Lemoyne Field, but also 365 days ago did battle in the first round of the CACC tournament, with the Eagles coming out on top in that one. If the Eagles were to advance today, it would be deja vu for them, as they would head on south to Wilmington to take on the top-seeded Wildcats on Wednesday at 3:30. The Eagles lost to them 18-8 earlier this year. They beat Bridgeport earlier this year. They're 4-0 all-time against them since they joined the conference in 2023, and we are underway with the first quarter of the first round of the CACC tournament, as the Purple Knights control early, as over there is Runyon slipping with it and getting back up. Like I mentioned, these two teams faced off earlier this year at Lemoyne Field, with Post coming out on top. 4-0 the Eagles are since 2023 against Bridgeport. The second all-time meeting between the two teams in the CACC tournament. And Bridgeport, since joining the CACC back in 2022, they have made it to, 2023. They have made 2022, but making it to the CACC tournament twice now. Both times they've faced off against Post University. Eagles on the offensive end now. No less than a minute gone by here in the first, and Post already has the ball back. And up top with it is DeNike. A lot of record holders this year for this Post University team. Robbie McGrain to mention one of those, as well as Ryan DeNike, who just had that shot off the post there, hit his 100th career point. Hunter McCarty reached 200 career points. James Sproul with the all-time lead, as that one's in, and that one's a good goal for freshman midfielder number 8, Will Bryan, and the Eagles on the board early. 13:56 remaining in the first, and it's the Eagles who strike first against sophomore goalie Casey Mahusky, who faced these Eagles earlier in the season. Mahusky coming into this game, 13 games played, 145 goals given up. He's giving up an average of 12.44 per game, 149 saves. He is 6-7 on the year. Opposite of him, Aiden Waller. 10 games played, 77 goals allowed, 9.01 goals against average with 108 saves and a .584 save percentage. He is 6-3 on the year. But this Eagles offense has been led by really 5 players so far this year. You saw one of them right there in Will Bryan, and another one in Leighton Cook, as Cook puts one home, and that will give the Eagles their second goal in under 2 minutes here in the first quarter. They lead 2-0 on Cook's 47th goal of the season. Cook coming into the day already has a bunch of hat tricks on the year. This is game number 14, and he's got 12. He's played 14 games. He's already got 12, going for 13 today. Had a long streak midway through the year after not having one against Assumption to start the year in that 12-5 loss. Eagles come into this game at 8-6, Bridgeport 7-7. The team separated by just one game overall in conference play. Holden taking the faceoff over there alongside, trying to get a number on him. It's number 26 for Bridgeport, and that would be Sal D'Amico. D'Amico. But the Eagles retain possession. Sproul with it, leading the conference in a lot of major defensive categories so far this year, as Bryan takes it down low into the offensive end. Bryan back up top, gets it over to Roman, and now Roman over to DeNike on the left side. Eagles leading 2-0, just over 2 minutes into this one. Like I mentioned, 4-0 against Bridgeport all time. And last year they took an early lead, I believe it was by, that one is shot high by Bryan, I believe it was by 8 or 9 goals going into halftime. And Bridgeport fought their way back before Post was able to emerge victorious at the end of that one. And so far holding the early advantage with a 4-0 shots on goal advantage. McCarty tries to come around, can't do so. And now we'll get it out to Bryan, and then throws it in front. It looked like over to Roman. No one is able to grab it. McCarty, though, is going to pick it up, and it's stripped loose by Pickney. Ball stays with the Eagles, though, as it goes out of bounds. Sean Napoli couldn't get to it. There are several Napolis on this team, so 3 Napolis, Sean, Mark, and James. Make sure we identify each as we go through this game. McCarty with it. Eagles hard pressing again to try and get their third goal in just about 3 minutes. DeNike hedging in, goes through 2 defenders, and then it's going to be stripped away, but it's going to be a shot clock violation. Bridgeport ball with 12 and counting on the clock. Post leading 2-0 and leading in shots on goal for Zip. Like we mentioned, Bridgeport coming into this game 7-7, squeaked into the tournament over Holy Family, who was right behind them. That one is shot from the top. That was James Napoli with the shot, stopped by Waller, and now the Eagles trying to come back with the other way, and Pouliot loses it, and it's going to stay with Post as refs blew the whistle. And now it's going to be McCarty with it near midfield, looking to get the Eagles their third goal of the game. First shot on goal just now from Bridgeport there, about 3.5 minutes into the affair. But this Eagles offense off to a hot start so far against Mahusky. Going 2 for 4 in shots on goal. McCarty trying to make a move. Got a few defenders pushing him out of the zone. And now coming around to shoot it is Cook. And he's going to be stopped by Mahusky. It's picked up by Bridgeport and back the other way come the Purple Knights. That's James Napoli over midfield. Napoli still holding on. Napoli is holding on to it. Very hard to tell if he was faking with it. But it was Napoli. And now back up top trying to set up the offense is Steven Trauma. Trauma over to his left side to Liza. Now Bridgeport will try and find their rhythm up near that top side with Schoenfelder. Now it's down behind the goal. Throwing it back up top to Trauma again. And watching the Bridgeport offense just kind of word around to each other early on in the possession. That was James Napoli with it again. Trauma back with it too. Now James Napoli again, the shot clock winding down, 20 seconds left, and it's just kind of been a passing game so far for Bridgeport, being very methodical with the shot clock, and now Schoenfelder is going to get it down low, and Goodrich is going to shoot that one wide, and it's going to stay with Bridgeport. Behind the goal with it, Trauma. Only 6 seconds left on the shot clock. Nope, they're going to add time to the shot clock because they let it run a little too long, and that'll say, I believe they just said 9 seconds on the shot clock now, so a little extra time for Bridgeport to try and do something here with 9 seconds on the shot clock behind the goal. It'll be Trauma with it. Now 7 and counting. In front with it was Schoenfelder, couldn't pick it and try and shoot it up the goal. Now back in front with it wide is Liza with the shot, and that will be post ball, shot clock violation. And it'll be Pouliot behind the goal to take it. Like we mentioned, this Eagle offense really kind of one-sided amongst 5 players so far. You got Cook leading the team now with 47. Excuse me, not leading the team. You've got McGrain leading the team with 49. Cook leads in points at 74 coming into the day. That was point number 75 now on the year. McCarty with 30 goals as well. DeNike with 15. And Brian, the rookie, with 28. Everybody else less than 10 for post. Van George with 5, Gabe Roman with 4, Connor Denny with 3, Zane Parento with 1, and a few others with 1 that go down the list for this Eagles team that has manufactured 321 points as a team coming into today and 186 goals, allowing opponents to just score 133 goals on the season in which they played 14 games. McCarty now trying to wheel in front, can't do so, gets it back out to Brian. He'll do it all over again up top. McGrain has been quiet so far. Feeds it in front, and that shot's going to be wide. Couldn't see a number there, and that was Roman who had the shot. It goes wide. McGrain in front and gets that pass off to DeNike, and it's a goal. 3-0 post on DeNike's strike from McGrain at the 8:32 mark here of the first. Post up by 3. So Bridgeport had that 80-second shot clock that they worked down. Had about 3 shots on it that were all wide of Waller in net. But were very methodical and slow with their possession that last time out. And Post coming right back down, aggressive for their 3rd goal of the first. And winning another faceoff is Holden in the Eagles. And now Sproul will wait until some new players get on for Post. Sproul, like we mentioned, has been leading the way. 87 ground balls, 45 caused turnovers. He's the all-time leader in ground balls and season ground balls. I believe also in caused turnovers as well for a single season and for a career. Making a miss is the Nike. And throws it back out to Roman. Roman tries to do the spin cycle on him, and he can't. Back out to the Nike. Excuse me, that was not the Nike, that was Brian. Brian now coming inside, tries to throw it across to the Nike, and it's taken away by Mahusky. And Bridgeport will take the ball back and try and get something going offensively as Ryan Thomas now carries it over to Mahusky. We talked a little bit about the offense for for Post. How about Bridgeport as quickly coming down and wasting no time for the goal is Steven Trauma, the freshman. That's the kind of aggressive play you need if you're the Purple Knights. They wasted no time hustling down the length of the field. They weren't very slow with it like they were in that last possession. Wasted no time finding some open space, and Steven Trauma nets the goal, and that's going to be his 20th of the season. As we are mentioning, so far this year, the offense for Bridgeport, 127 goals coming into the day, 78 assists, 205 points overall. Opponents, 167 goals against, now 170 after the first three of the day. And it's been Mahusky primarily in net for 13 games. Trevor Kanata played in 4, but no starts, 46 minutes played, allowed 11 goals and 14.17 goals against average and 8 saves in those games played, as I mentioned. Bridgeport 7-7 overall, 3-4 at home, 4-3 on the road, and finished 4-4 in conference play, holding off Holy Family, who they held the tiebreaker against anyways. But Post offense coming right in. McCarty had nothing but space, and they makes him pay for it. Hunter McCarty just wheeled his way right inside. The Bridgeport defenders left idle in front, and as a result, it's going to be 4-1 Post on McCarty's 31st goal of the season. He just blew right by everybody, and with 6:56 to go, the response is quick and swift for Post, who regains that 3-goal edge here in the first. Back to the faceoff circle goes Holden. Opposite of him, D'Amico. It's going to be a faceoff violation. Bridgeport ball. Big possession here if they can try and get another goal back after just allowing the quick one to Post on a defensive mishap there. They're very quick on the last one with the goal from Steven Trauma. Let's see what the team does this time around offensively. Looks like they're going to go with a little more of a slow, methodical approach like they did in the other possession before. There's Levantini with it up at the top. Steven Tempone in his 4th year has spent all 4 years here with Bridgeport that they've had a team. Like we mentioned, joining the conference in 2023. That one's fired up high by Lisa. Or, excuse me, 2022. Coming down with it is Post, and now there it is with the Nike across midfield. He's got some room, and he's got some guys with him on offense. The Nike, though, going to try and go around the goal to Mahusky. Can't do so. Nice pick play by McGrain, and the Nike back in front. And the Nike, with his second strike of the first, gives Post a 5-1 lead. 5:56 to go here in the first. All Eagles early on, and like I mentioned, though, that was what happened last year when these two teams met in the first round of the CACC tournament. It was all Post early on, but then things quickly flipped in the early part of the third quarter. So no matter how big that lead is, you know these Purple Knights are going to answer back at some point, and they'll see if they can do it as Steven Tempone calls timeout. We got a 2-minute break here as we head into a brief timeout. Post leading by 4, 5-1. Timeout over for Steven Tempone and the Bridgeport Purple Knights, who trail by 4. Eagles with some quick strikes by Ryan DeNike and Hunter McCarty have built up a early 4-goal lead. So post up early by 4, but like I mentioned, this was the case last year too when these two teams faced off, and things can quickly change on Lemoy Field, especially in the playoffs where every play matters and every play can be a game changer. And Bridgeport, right out of that timeout, has the ball. Last year the Eagles in that game won 16-13. Post took an early 9-2 lead in that matchup before going into the half only up 9-7. And Bridgeport would end up tying it up at 13 all in the 4th before 3 straight goals by the Eagles helped propel them to that win to get them over to Wilmington, where they would eventually lose in the CACC semifinals. Eagles trying to make it to their 3rd consecutive CACC semifinals, while Bridgeport looks to make it into their 1st CACC semifinals. This is their 2nd appearance in the playoffs, both times, like we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, against Bridgeport now. Against Post now. Post has played Bridgeport in the CACC tournament the last 2 years. And that's going to be a violation. It goes cross midfield, and turnover for Bridgeport. Post ball with a chance to add to the lead. Coming right in with it is Van George. Shot on Mahusky is stopped, and Brian Wolf picks it up. The long stick midi. Well, he has a long stick currently. He's listed as a defender on the sheet, but he's got a long pole right now. Picks it up, and the Purple Knights go the other way. So far, if you're just joining us, 2 goals from Ryan DeNike, 1 from Will Bryan, and 1 from Leighton Cook, as well as Hunter McCarty gives this Eagles team the 5-1 lead. Stephen Trauma with 1 goal. Jackson Holden in the faceoff dot, 4 for 6 so far. Charlie Foster 0 for 1 in his 1 attempt. So far, 1 save and 1 goal allowed for Waller. 5 goals allowed and 3 saves for Mahusky. And Post looking for more here as DeNike comes right in, looking for a hat trick already in the 1st. McCarty behind the net. Wheeling and dealing around. Shot. It looks like it went off the post, and that's going to stay with the Eagles as DeNike was first to it. And they'll restart with 3:38 to go. DeNike trying to work his way towards the net. Being pushed off of there by Levantini. And shot goes wide, staying here with Post. The Eagle offense really aggressive right now to get anything they can going against Mahusky and this Bridgeport team. McCarty coming into the middle. Shoots, and he's got another one. Hunter McCarty with his 2nd of the 1st. And Post putting it on the Purple Knights early, 6-1 with 3:27 to go in the 1st. McCarty and DeNike with 2 each so far for the Eagles to lead the way. The Post offense humming right now early on, and it'll be Charlie Foster taking the faceoff. Sal D'Amico for Bridgeport, and he'll end up winning it and taking it the other way. D'Amico running down the field with it. Close to next to him is Nick Gallery. Behind the net, they put it over to Goodrich. Goodrich up top to James Napoli. And now Lisa with it. Bridgeport, other than that one possession where you saw them go really quick, has been pretty slow on their other ones so far. A very slow, methodical tempo pace for the offense. Post has played at a much quicker clip when they have gone on the offensive attack. Lisa gives it off. And then gets it back. It's going to be Lankowski with it now. And then trying to find some space is Schoenfelder. Schoenfelder rips it, and that's going to go wide of the net. I think the Bridgeport bench thought it went in. I thought it went in for a second, too. But Waller is going to pick it up in the crease, and back the other way with it comes Post. It's going to be a turnover for the Eagles. Couldn't see who it was on as the Purple Knights are going to quickly get into motion here. 2:20 to go in the 1st. Post by 5. Lisa with it. And now Trauma, the only goal scorer so far for the Purple Knights as they look to set something up. Once again, taking their time on the offensive end. Trauma pushes it back out to Schoenfelder. Schoenfelder towards the middle, and a shot there taken by Lisa. It was stripped from behind by, I think that was Cam Beckett. And as a result, it's going to be a turnover for the Purple Knights, and Post with it back. A great shot attempt in the middle. But the defense of Post collapsing on the attacker to put a halt to it, as Cook now gets it across midfield for Post and tosses it over to his teammate Will Bryan. Bryan now coming down low. The Eagles in the CACC tournament will be in search of their first ever CACC tournament. They've never made a championship appearance as well. The farthest they've gotten is the semifinals 2 times. They're in search of that third time this year. They've made the semifinals in back-to-back years, and those are their only 2 appearances. Few quarterfinals appearances before that, but otherwise they're searching for a third berth to the semis, as that one shot wide by Bryan, staying here as the Nike is going to be the first 2 with 1:02 to go. The Eagles have a chance to go 2 for 1 as well, and that one's going to be up top, shot by McGrain, wide, and it's going to once again stay with Post. I think that took off the Nike's foot or ankle when McGrain ripped it, and looked a little shaken up for a second there. The Nike's fine, but looked like he might have gotten clipped with that ball a little. 17 seconds in counting on the shot clock, and now wheeling it towards the middle, trying to take a shot. McCarty, he does, and he's got another. Hat trick for McCarty in the first, 45.3 to go, and it's all Eagles 7-1 right now in the first. And now they'll have a chance for potentially one more here at the end of the first with the 80-second shot clock. This could be the final possession for whoever wins the faceoff, which will be between Holden and Cullen. Connor Cullen taking the face-off now. It's going to be won by Post, and the other way with it comes Holden. Holden just going all the way with it, and then gets hit from behind, tries to pass it in front, and there's going to be a penalty. I believe that's going to be on Bridgeport. It will. It's going to be a cross-check on Ryan Thomas. So Thomas with a penalty that could potentially prove costly here at the end of the first. 34.8 seconds left, and plenty of time for the Eagles to get a shot off here against Mahusky to take what would be a 7-goal lead in the first quarter. Plenty of time. They'll probably waste as much clock as they can so far, to get down to the end of the first. But if they don't get the goal here, they'll have more time to score on the man up at the start of the second. Bryan to McGrain. Roman to DeNike. Cook up top again. McCarty's got it, looking for another. He's pushed out, and now it looks like the Eagles are going to hold for last shot, or maybe they're just going to take this down for the end of the quarter. Nope, McCarty looks like he was going to fake, and then they're going to bring it back up top. McGrain back over to McCarty, and they're just going to waste the clock entirely. And that'll do it. So at the end of 1, Post leading 7-1. We'll come back with a first quarter recap for your Eagles squad, who's looking to make it to their 3rd straight CACC semifinals after this. As we get ready to start the second quarter, about 40 seconds on the clock in between periods, let's take you through the first quarter. 2 goals for Denike, 2 for McCarty. My apologies for, these are not updated with the latest. I got to refresh real quick. And now it's got Hunter McCarty with 3 goals, 2 for Ryan Denike, 1 for Will Bryan, and 1 for Leighton Cook. 3 assists for Denike, so he's got 5 points so far, helping out on 5 of the 7 first quarter goals for Post, who currently is on a man up because of a penalty issued to Ryan Thomas. 1 minute for cross-checking. There's 26 seconds left on that penalty, and it will be Post ball coming out of the timeout, out of the quarter break, as it's been a while since I saw a men's lacrosse game here at Lemoyne because of other things we've had going on, that I was informed by my team of people that you do, in fact, get possession going into the second. There's no new face-off. Post ball on the offensive end. 25 seconds left on the man-up advantage. The Eagles will look to try and make the most of it and make this a 7-goal game in the early goings of this. Throwing it around, and then Bryan's got it to McCarty. Back to Bryan. Bryan over to McGrain. McGrain back over to McCarty. McCarty rips it. And Mahusky with the save, and that's going to go out. And it's going to stay with Post. 2 seconds left on the man up. 14:36 in the second. And that'll be it for the man up, who gets back into position for the Purple Knights. So no harm, no foul there on the man up, as Thomas's penalty has expired. Roman being hounded by a couple players, and he looks like he's going to be taken away by Runyon. And now Runyon running the other way into the offensive end. This up-tempoed pace that Bridgeport had in the early going was what led to that 1 goal. But there it's going to lead to a turnover as the ball is overthrown by Runyon. And Post will get the ball back with 14 to go. Throwing it ahead is John Karras, and he was already on the offensive attack. Throwing it in front, I can't see who it was. It was McCarty over to Bryan, and I believe that's going to count. It will. Will Bryan with the goal. Where there's a will, there's a way for him, as the freshman's got his second, and there is a penalty, which I don't know if it'll get waved off because of the goal or if they're going to let it happen anyways. We'll get the call now. Pushing penalty is wiped out. Don't know who it was on, but it is wiped out because of the goal that was scored by Bryan. His second of the game, that gives Post a 7-goal lead with 13:52 remaining in the first half. A reminder, too, after the 13:52 is up, we'll have a 10-minute intermission for halftime and then come back and play 2 more 15-minute quarters to decide who moves on to face Wilmington in the CACC semifinals on Wednesday afternoon. And right now, Post is making a strong case for why it's going to be them, as they are up 7 goals, and Sproul picks up the loose ground ball. Sproul pushing it ahead, and now it's up over to Denike. Denike on the offensive side, and Eagles taking their time now. And now you can kind of slow down, especially if you're Post, get into a rhythm and take your time because you've got a 7-goal lead. Again, it's early in the game, but the less possessions you can allow Bridgeport to have, the better down the stretch, especially if you can turn those possessions that you do have into goals, which so far the Eagles have done to the tune of 8 goals on 11 total shots on goal. Van George with it. Throws it behind the net to McCarty, who's already got a hat trick on the day. Cook is trying to extend his hat trick streak to 13 games on the year. Coming in to shoot is Roman, kind of just spikes it into the ground, but McCarty's right there to scoop it up. McCarty in front to Denike. Denike wide of the net, and it's going to stay here. McGrain's going to pick it up behind the net. Just 2 shots on goal so far for Bridgeport. One of those went in. Stephen Trauma with his goal. Now McGrain whipping around, trying to get a shot off, and I believe we're going to get a penalty on Wolf. I think Brian Wolf committed something there in front. We'll see what the call is in a moment. I think it's a hold is what I'm seeing the indication, but we'll get confirmation right now. "30-second holding call for Brian Wolf, so Post with another man-up chance here. It's only going to be a 30-second penalty, though, so they'll have to work quickly. Have 60 seconds on the shot clock to do it. Restart underway, and up top with it is Bryant. Bryant has already got a couple goals today, gets it over to McGrain, and back behind the net with it is Roman. Cook back up top to McCarty and Bryant. McGrain now with it over to Roman, back over. And now Roman rips a shot, and he's got his goal. Gabe Roman with the goal. And they make the most of the man-up advantage on the holding call by Brian Wolf. That's going to be Roman's first of the game. It's the first man-up goal of the game, too, for Post. 1 for 2 now on the man-up advantage. And they have themselves an 8-goal lead here in the first half of this affair. And back to the face-off dot is going to be Jackson Holden facing off against Connor Cullen. Fighting for it in the dot. Neither side giving any leverage to the other, and it's eventually going to be Cullen who picks it up. Nope, still loose, and he's not going to be able to pick it up. Holden's trying to pick it up, can't do it either. And then eventually it's going to be grabbed by Levantini, and it's going to be Purple Knights' ball. Levantini now, the Purple Knights offense needs something here. Eagles have dominated so far in this game. The possessions have been very limited so far for Bridgeport, due in part to 5 turnovers. Eagles have had 3, but a couple of them have been just right away, and they get a much-needed goal there from Matthew Levantini. And Bridgeport stops the scoring drought. It was a 6-0 run for Post up to that point. And Levantini's going to rocket his 14th goal of the season home and make it a 7-goal game as the Purple Knights break up the offensive streak that Post had going there. And it all started with that face-off win in the dot. Neither team really was able to grab it, but eventually the Purple Knights were able to come away with it, and as a result, they get on the board in the second quarter. It's now 9-2. Post with the win. Charlie Foster going all the way in, and Foster's going to have a shot, and it's going to go wide. And it's going to be Bridgeport ball. Foster had nothing but space, tried to make the most of the opportunity, and wasn't able to rocket that one past Mahusky. That would have been Foster's first of the season. He's 94 for 185 coming into the game on faceoffs. And Sproul's going to pick up the loose ball. And Eagles will look to get something going again offensively in response to that Purple Knights goal just a moment ago. Gallery, head to McCarty. McCarty slows things down now, and we're seeing Ryan DeKnight come back on the field. Like I mentioned, DeKnight already with 6 points now. He's got another assist, and he's having himself quite the game for Post, accounting for points on 6 of the 9 goals so far in this affair early on. McCarty with it, tries to feed it in front to Cook, and it's going to go wide of Cook's stick and cross midfield. And it's going to be picked up by Bridgeport. Over there to grab it was Trauma. And Trauma with no numbers, not able to really do too much, so he'll pull it back out, and the Purple Knights will reset. Slowing things down as we move past the 10-minute mark of the first half. Remaining in the first half. That's Levantini. Levantini tries to find space. He does, shoots in, scores. It's a 2-0 run for Bridgeport, and it's now a 9-3 game as that's Matthew Levantini's second of the quarter. And now Bridgeport showing some signs of life here in the early parts of the second quarter. Make it a 6-goal game. So Levantini now with 2 on the day, has 15 on the season. Stephen Trauma had his 20th goal earlier in this one. And the Bridgeport offense starting to come to life now after allowing some early goals to post in the second, and now winning another faceoff there is Cullen. Cullen off to the races, and it's going to be dropped by Trauma and picked up by John Karras, and the other way the Eagles will go. Karras has a brother on this team in Luke Karras, so that's why I'm specifying those two as well. Behind the net with it is McGrain. Back out to McCarty. McCarty's already got himself a hat trick today. DeNike has been the offensive weapon so far for post, and Brian looked like he lost it for a minute, was able to pick it right back up, and Gabe Roman now with it near the top. Roman back on over to Brian. Now it's behind the net to McGrain. McGrain, who again has been offensively quiet so far. It's been the Ryan DeNike show in the early going. Brian with it up top. Brian looks for space, can't find any. Feeds it over to DeNike. DeNike makes a move towards the left, and now is going to probably look for a pass as he's pushed out. Still holding. DeNike trying to spin around. Now he'll pass it off to Brian. It's nearly broken up by Runyon, but picked up by Brian. Running out of time on the shot clock, 15 seconds and counting. Brian trying to find some space. Comes towards the middle. A little bit of room. Takes the shot. Mahusky with the save. And it's picked up by Runyon. All the way with it come the Purple Knights, who look to extend this 2-0 run and get themselves within 5 goals. As the Eagles had 9 of the first 10 goals. Now last 2 have gone the way of Bridgeport. And that shot's off the post by Mark Napoli. Nearly had his first of the game. And the 4th of the day for Bridgeport. But with 7:56 remaining, it's still going to be Purple Knights ball. Visa up top with it. Now pushes it to Lankowski. Bridgeport's offense starting to become a lot more active, and that's going to be another goal by Matthew Levantini. Levantini with a hat trick in this quarter alone has now made it a 3-0 run for Bridgeport, who now makes it a 9-4 game. And folks, this is what I was talking about. It was the All Eagles last year in this CACC first round matchup where they came out of the gates very hot. And by halftime, the Purple Knights had cut down that lead to just 2 goals, and as a result, were able to get back into it in the second half. And you're seeing that same exact kind of thing play out here. It's almost like deja vu here at Lemoy Field, 365 days after that first CACC tournament matchup. Bridgeport aggressive here on the faceoff, but Sproul's going to come away with it. Sproul's going to pick it out and take his time with it and throw it backwards to Cam Beckett. Eagles need a response and need one now as they lead by 5, but momentum shifting towards Bridgeport. That shot by Cook is stopped by Mahusky, and it's picked up, and going the other way with it is Joe Martin. Martin with it near the middle of the field, near midfield, excuse me, and drops it off, and that is going to be, no, I'm sorry, he still got it up top. McCarty ran out of bounds, so I got a little lost for a second, and we're going to get a timeout for Bridgeport. But the Purple Knights don't go anywhere, have started to make their moves. 9-4, post lead, 6:50 to go in the first half. Matthew Levantini with a hat trick here in the second has given Bridgeport some life. There's still plenty of time, obviously, to go. It's a 9-4 game, though, now. Post scored 9 of the first 10 goals in this matchup. A 6-0 run helped them get that 8-goal lead, but now Bridgeport has worked their way back into this affair, now trailing by just 5. And on the offensive end, following that timeout, their second of the game. Waiting for the restart. There's the whistle, and we're back underway. Bridgeport with the ball, about 60 seconds left on the shot clock, and Liza with it up top. Liza trying to run his way in, find some space, and then throws it back out. Shot from the top of the circle by James Napoli is stopped by Waller, and Post gets the ball going the other way. It's me, Nick Gallery, getting across midfield. And now the Eagles will look to get something going and snap this 3-0 run that Bridgeport's been on. McCarty back out to Denike. Like we've mentioned, Denike with 6 points so far. 6 of the 9 goals have been either by or by the help of the junior. Denike getting hounded over there by Mark Napoli, and finally a flag is going to get thrown for that. And we'll see what the call is right now. Currently talking about it. It's going to be a cross-check on Mark Napoli, the second cross-check of the game for this Purple Knights defense. It's going to allow Post to go on the man up for a minute. 5:55 remaining. A chance for the Eagles to take back some of the momentum that the Purple Knights have taken in the last few minutes here at Lemoy Field. The 5 seed looking to make their first appearance in the CACC semifinals, currently trailing by 5. The Eagles looking to make their third consecutive CACC semifinals appearance, leading by those 5 goals. McCarty rips one, and Mahusky, I think, got a piece of that. It'll stay with Post. Be Denike taking it out. Denike behind the net. Now it's back up top to McCarty. Brian McGrain. McCarty again. Now McGrain near the top. Playing a little back and forth those two were, and now they're going to do it again. McGrain feeds it towards the middle, and the shot, I believe that was Leighton Cook, goes wide, and it'll stay with Post with 24 seconds left on the shot clock. Denike with it behind in the corner, Denike tries to make a move. Throws it back up top to Cook off the post. Big chance for a goal there. Eagles will retain possession with 11 seconds left on the clock. 11 seconds left on the man-up advantage on the clock. 5:06 remaining on the clock in the first half. Behind the net is Denike. Penalty now has expired. Back out with is Steven Trauma. Trauma on in the Purple Knights offense, off to the races. That's going to be Pinckney with it. Pinckney's going to lose it. That's picked up over there by Lankowski for a fraction of a second before he gets it stripped away. Stays here with the Purple Knights, though. 4:37 to go. And the Eagles, after just missing the post moments ago now, the Purple Knights will have a chance to make it 4 straight goals. There are a bunch of Hawks flying over Lemoy Field now. Several of them, actually. Four minutes to go behind the net with it is Sean Napoli. Matthew Levantini with 3 goals in this quarter has helped get the Purple Knights back into it. But a nice play by James Sproul to break up the pass from Liza. And the Eagles will get the ball back. The lead defender on this Post team in his senior season, making some plays to keep this Purple Knights offense at bay despite them gaining some momentum as this quarter has gone on. It's briefly fumbled over there by Cook. And now he's behind the net with it. Throws it out to McCarty. 3:30 to go in the first half, Post by 5. Eagles have slowed things down quite a bit from their earlier pace in this game. It's been a little bit of a role reversal as the Knight looked to get some space, and now, Roman looked to get some space and couldn't do so. Fires the shot. It's stopped by Mahusky. And Roman took a little bit of a shot over there on Martin. It looks like it's going to stay with the Eagles, though, as it went out of bounds. And now around to try and score is Roman. He can't do so. McGrain tried to pick it up. It's loose on the ground still, not quite in the crease. And then Mahusky's going to pick it up. And the Purple Knights coming out with less than 3 minutes to go. It's Mark Napoli with it the other way. Napoli moving around DeNike. Now it's going to come out. Like I said, it's been a little bit of a role reversal. The Purple Knights offense is going a lot faster. Purple Knights offense is going a lot faster. Apologies for that. I think some of the equipment just overheated for half a moment, or we lost power for a second up here, but we're good. And it's Post the other way with it as the ball came loose. So Cam Beckett with it, pushing it ahead. And that's Gavin Lee up top. Eagles slowing things down quite a bit. Again, like we mentioned, they have allowed 4 goals so far in this game, 3 of which have been in this quarter. And now I think they're trying to just limit Bridgeport's opportunities. The Knight takes the shot. Mahusky's going to block it, and it's going to go out of bounds. Post ball. Under 2 minutes now, and the Eagles looking to, again, still snap this 3-0 run. They had a 6-0 run of their own, and now they're trying to snap a 3-0 run by Bridgeport. McCarty looks for some space, spins around, and now he's going to be pushed out. McCarty behind the net, over to DeNike. DeNike being pushed. Just holding on to it. Eagles had a few man-up chances they haven't been able to convert on, and now that shot by Cook is going to be stopped by Mahusky. Now back behind the net with it was Bryan, and now it's going to be another shot by Cook, stopped by Mahusky. Loose on the ground, and it's going to stay with Post with 1:18 to go and 60 seconds on the shot clock. Racing in with it is Bryan. Takes it behind the net to McCarty. McCarty spinning, trying to get towards the net, and he does, and that's going to be a goal. Hunter McCarty with another. And Post snaps the 3-0 run by the Purple Knights at the end of the first half. It's now 10-4 with 1:07 remaining. So the Eagles snapping that scoreless drought after a hot start to the second. Levantini answered back with 3, and now a big one by McCarty gets the Eagles lead back up to 6 goals with 1:07 remaining in the first half. And they'll look to see if they can get maybe one more before the end of this half. I would think if they win this faceoff, they're going to try and take the clock down as much as possible to just take this 6-goal lead into the break. Picked up by the Eagles, and wasting no time with it is Holden. Shot there by Cook goes wide, but Post will retain possession with 54.2 to go. Again, they can waste down the rest of the shot clock if they choose to, but they came out very aggressive right away, try and get something on the offensive end. 45 seconds, the Knight holding on. I just heard somebody from the sideline saying that there's only 45 seconds, so I think they kind of had the same thought that I had in mind as well, to just take some time off of this. Roman racing around behind the net to McCarty. 30 seconds and counting here in the first half, 10-4 Post, and looking to get one more before the end of the half. McCarty still holding. Backs it out now with 20 seconds on the clock, and now comes back in. McCarty, a little bit of a swim move, tries to feed it to Roman. Can't do so. 14.3 to go, and that should be how this first half ends. Still a little bit of time for the Bridgeport Purple Knights to come down with it. They throw it deep across midfield, and it's going to be picked up by Pouliot. Other way with it. Cook with a chance. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Shot, and it goes wide. And with 0.2 seconds left. That'll be how the first half ends. Wild little finish there for both sides. But as we head into the halftime break, Post will lead 10-4. We got a 10-minute intermission coming up. We'll be back for the third quarter. We'll kind of get things settled for you and set you up for the second half after this 10-minute break. Post, though, leading by 6 with a chance to go to their third consecutive CACC semifinals. Back after this from Lemoy Field. 30 minutes separate Post University from their third consecutive CACC semifinals appearance. Mike Vesey joining you from Lemoyne Field for the second half that's about ready to get underway. The Eagles leading this one 10-4. It was a 9-1 lead for them early on in the second quarter before Matthew Levantini got the Purple Knights back into it with 3 consecutive goals. Hunter McCarty broke that up with his goal towards the end of the first half. That made it now 10-4 as we get ready to get underway with the second half of action. Ryan DeNike with 6 points so far in this game, and he's probably fixing to be our player of the game. Unless someone has a big breakout half for the Eagles or the Purple Knights come to life here in the second half. We've had a chance to regroup. So have both of the teams as we are ready for face-off at midfield with the second half and quickly underway. I was looking at some photos from our first half photographers. Post with the ball, and it's going to be Pouliot with it in the defensive zone. Will Bryan pushing it ahead. Will Bryan in the first half had 2 goals. 4 goals for McCarty, 2 for DeNike, 2 for Bryan, 1 for Roman, and 1 for Cook so far. Levantini with 3, and 1 for Trauma on the Bridgeport side as Mahusky has 10 goals allowed, 9 saves. For Waller, 2 saves, 4 goals so far. Hasn't had to face too much pressure from this Purple Knights offense. It's come in kind of little spurts, whereas the Eagles offense has been pretty much pressuring Mahusky for majority of this game. The Eagles showing that aggression they had in the first quarter yet again here to start the third. DeNike, like we mentioned, 6 points already, loses that ball, and then he nearly loses it. I think Purple Knights almost lost it right back, Thomas, but then it's picked up and going the other way with it is Bridgeport. Trailing by 6, it would be big to start off the second half with a goal. It's Napoli with the ball on the offensive side for the Purple Knights. Slowing things down like we saw them do for a majority of the first half. Eagles seem to have a lot of success, the Purple Knights seem to have a lot of success when they went into that much more up-tempoed pace of play. Whereas when Post folded into their more conservative style of play in the second, it seemed like their offense was humming a little less. That shot's wide by James Napoli, and there was a flag on the field already. Napoli took a hit to the back. 30-second offsides call, so it'll be Bridgeport ball, man-up advantage. Van George will head to the box with 13:19 to go, and a big chance here to start the second half for Bridgeport to pull back within 5. This is your first game joining us here on the broadcast. Welcome in. Mike Vesey joining you for Post Men's Lacrosse CACC first round matchup. As the spring season winds down on the home side of the schedule, softball finished up this past week. Women's lacrosse finished up this past week. Men's lacrosse currently in the playoffs. Baseball will go to the CACC tournament later on this week. And earlier this month, women's tennis finished up their spring side of the season. Baseball will take on Felician in the first round of the CACC tournament starting on Friday. A doubleheader that day, and if necessary, game on Saturday. Shot there by Napoli. James Napoli, stopped by Waller. Looks like there was an interference called on Post, so that will stay with the Purple Knights. So the last 3 teams still playing out their spring seasons is men's golf in the NCAA Regional, men's lacrosse, who's in the CACC tournament this week, in baseball, who finishes the regular season tomorrow against Lincoln at home for senior night. First pitch will come at 2 o'clock. Matt Scalzo bringing you that one. And bringing a goal is Ashton Lankowski, his first of the game. And Bridgeport gets on the board first here in the second half. They trail by just 5 yet again. So Ashton Lankowski scores, and with the help of James Napoli, it was after the man-up penalty had expired. That's Lankowski's 21st of the year. Coming into the day, 6 different Purple Knights in double figures scoring-wise. And we're going to get a face-off violation. They didn't even... Nope, now we got a debate between the refs about whose violation it was. Bridgeport violation, or excuse me, post violation, Bridgeport ball. So Bridgeport with the chance now to capitalize on this and score another. They pulled themselves within 4. Again, the Eagles led by 8, and it's been slowly but surely. Purple Knights creeping back into this one. Big chance here for a defensive stop for the Eagles. Bridgeport going back into that methodical style of play, and it's Napoli, James Napoli with it at the top. Guarded by Van George. Napoli trying to get it down low. He does, and it's quickly flipped around between him and it looked like Schoenfelder, and it's going to end up staying with Bridgeport. I'm not quite sure how. A lot of bodies all around there for both sides, but Goodrich comes away with it. Schoenfelder back up top with it. Schoenfelder working around, shot wide. It looks like it might have been tipped by Van George, and it's going to stay here with Bridgeport with 11:34 remaining in the third. So far, shots on goal in favor, 36-17 for Post, 19-7 in shots on goal. The man-up advantages, 1 for 3 for Post, 0 for 1 for Bridgeport. Ground balls in favor of Post, 23-17. Saves in favor of the Purple Knights, 9-2. Clear attempts, 12 for 13 for Post, 7 of 10 for Bridgeport. In the face-off dot, Post has won 10 of the 17. Turnovers, 9-7 for Bridgeport. Caused turnovers, 4-3 for Post, who has had just 1 penalty for 30 seconds, as opposed to 3 penalties for 2 minutes for Bridgeport. Eagles ball, as there's some shadows starting to creep in from the sun just to our coming under the netting now here, as that's going to be a score there by Hunter McCarty. A big one for the Eagles as they regain that 6-goal edge with 10:55 to go. It's McCarty's 5th of the game. And the Eagles answer back to the early first half goal by Lankowski. They're back up by 6. Be a pair of 2s in the faceoff dot, Charlie Foster and Connor Cullen. Eagles looking to build some momentum here in the second half. It's going to be won by Joe Martin and the Purple Knights, and they go on the offensive prowess. 1 goal each here to start the second half as we approach the 10-minute mark of the third. Bridgeport holding tight here with Schoenfelder up top. Schoenfelder tries to make a move around Rob Torelli. And it's going to be a shot saved down low by Waller. Couldn't quite see the number from my angle. I think that was Goodrich with it. And Pouliot coming across midfield with it, the defender. Now the Eagles starting to slow things down yet again. It's going to be Bryan with it. Bryan tries to make a move around the defender. Can't do so. He's pushed out. Now he's going to throw it back to Cook. Seeing both teams be a little more slow to start the second half. Beautiful day for lacrosse. It's a beautiful shot attempt by Bryan. Can't get it to go, and then it looked like another shot tried there by, I can't see the number quite yet, Robbie McGrain, who was knocked down, and they're going to call a penalty. We'll get that now. So a cross-check called on Stephen Trauma, one of the offensive weapons for the, not Stephen Trauma, on Sean Napoli, one of the defensive players for the Purple Knights, as the Eagles now with a big man up chance here to go up 7 if they can manufacture something against Mahusky. Throws it towards the middle. That was the Nike, but it ended up going to McCarty. Nice save there, and now Cook's got it. 9 minutes to go, 30-ish seconds left on the penalty kill for Bridgeport. Shot by Cook. He finds the back of the net. And the Eagles cooking with Leighton Cook. That's their second of the quarter. They lead by 7 now on Leighton's second of the game. Cook has taken 10 shots now, converted on 2 of them. And he'll look to continue that hat trick streak if he can get one more here in the second half of the affair. His post now up by 7. Eagles looking to move to 5-0 all-time against Bridgeport, 2-0 in the tournament, CACC tournament, in matchups of that nature. Sproul over the gallery. Offensive end again for Post as McCarty spins. You hear the Eagles side saying, easy, easy, take it easy, as they have time to waste, especially being up by 7. Purple Knights stole some momentum back in that first half, so the more that the Eagles can just kind of hold down the fort here on the offensive end and limit the offensive opportunities for Bridgeport, the better off they'll be coming down the stretch of this one. McCarty being pushed out there by Thomas. Still trying to find some space. McCarty with a big height advantage and size advantage, it looked like, on Thomas, at least from this angle. It might not be the same up close. DeNike tried to feed Roman down low, but Roman comes back out with it, and then the two exchange the ball real quick before Roman tries to make a move. Roman towards the middle, and I believe we're going to get a whistle. Couldn't tell who lost the glove, but somebody lost the glove, and we get a reset now. Bridgeport wanting an equipment violation. McCarty with it, spins towards the middle. McCarty right in front of Mahusky. Nothing doing, though. 10 seconds left. DeNike up top. Fires it towards the middle. Cook with the shot, and it stopped. And it goes into the road and into the woods. That one's not coming back. And now with 1 second left on the restart, nothing going to get going for Post. It'll be a shot clock violation with 7:33 to go. Bridgeport ball, trailing by 7. 7 goals so far in the first has been what has paced Post to this lead. Try and say that 3 times fast. 7-1 in the first. Both teams split in the second, 3-3 on the goals. Levantini with a hat trick alone in that quarter helped originally get the Purple Knights to a more respectable margin before Post answered back towards the end. It was 9-4 at that point before McCarty put one in. And now Post leading the third 2-1. Running in with it is Schoenfelder. Schoenfelder shoots, and that, I think, went off the helmet of John Karras. And they'll do it all again here on the offensive end for the Purple Knights. Stephen Trauma with the cross pass, and Bridgeport holding tough with it with Goodrich up top. Under 7 minutes to go. We've reached the halfway point of the third quarter. Post still leading, by 7. Ball loose on the ground. It's going to be picked up by Post. No, a little bit of a check from behind, and they're going to say reset the shot clock. Post ball, because I think because of that check to the back. Offensive end with it now is Nick Gallery. Cardi on the left. Eagles offense has taken a lot of time here in the second half, which probably doesn't bother them too much having this lead. Cook back out to Bryan. Now the Eagles slow things down once more. Bryan towards the middle and then pushed back out. That's Liam O'Neill on him, and then a nice steal nearly by by Runyon. But the Eagles hold on. Cook picks it up on the ground ball, throws it behind the net to McCarty. Like you mentioned, the Eagles holding the edge in ground balls. Cook with 2 goals already, looking for another. Finds space, shoots, and it's saved. No, I don't think it was a save. I think it was a pass over to McCarty. And a dive over there by Liam O'Neill, and the shot by Bryan stopped. Now the other way with it comes Bridgeport. In space, Goodrich. Goodrich loses it, and Pouliot trying to pick it up. Can't. Sproul's going to try and pick it up. He does. And now Sproul going on the offensive attack. Slows things down and pushes it ahead to McGrain. McGrain, like I mentioned, has been very quiet so far today. That shot by Pouliot's going to go high. A little bit harder to do that with the long stick. The defender, though, gets that one off. But Mahusky picks it, and it will be Purple Knights' ball. Robin McGrain, a quiet day so far, just 1 assist and 1 point. Picking up the Eagles' offense has been a little sprinkle of everybody outside of Hunter McCarty's 5 goals. Ryan DeNike with 6 points, 7 points for McCarty. Those are your 2 players of the game so far if you're the Eagles. See Jalen Brown out there as well now, graduate student who's finishing up his final season with the Eagles. Be graduating in just a few short weeks. Like we mentioned, the home schedule for these teams coming to a close. Tomorrow afternoon will be the final 2 games of the season. That will be brought to you by Post University on the CACC Network and YouTube as Eagles host senior night. DeNike with space, passes it over to McGrain, looking for his first of the game, and I believe that went off the post. McGrain had all sorts of space, and it looks like that was stopped by the post, and it'll go the other way for the Purple Knights with 4 minutes to go in the third. Bridgeport taking their time to set things up here. Liza. Shot high over there by Canino. But it'll stay with Bridgeport. Trauma behind the net with it. Trauma on the reset. Trauma shot. Saved by Waller. And it bumps out over there to pick it up as Liza. Liza now from the side. 3:30 to go, about 30 seconds left on the shot clock. Liza's still with it. Back to the top. Canino. That one looks like it was stopped in front, and now the Eagles come out with it. John Karras picks it up. Again, what's on the line here over the last 18 and change? A bid to the CACC semifinals to take on top-seeded Wilmington at 3:30 on Wednesday. And Cook with the shot there, saved by Mahusky. They give it back to Mahusky and go the other way, Bridgeport once more. Eagles, it would be their 2nd straight meeting against Wilmington in the tournament. Faced them last year in the semifinals. It'd be Bridgeport's first semifinals appearance in program history. Again, joining the conference in 2022. Bridgeport's offense has struggled here to start the second half. The defense for Post has really started to clamp down after that run by Levantini in the third. That shot from the top by Liza, stopped by Waller. But I think they're calling something on Waller, so it's actually going to remain with Bridgeport. Sounds like an offsides call. So an offsides called to Hunter McCarty. And as a result, the ball will stay here on the offensive end for Bridgeport. If the score holds, too, where Post is in front, don't go anywhere afterwards. We'll have our post-game interviews with a couple of the players talking about today's matchup and looking ahead to the CACC semifinals, obviously, if the score holds. But our final game from Lemoyne Field for the men's lacrosse team. So for these seniors, it's their final time playing here at Lemoyne Field as an Eagle. Up top, the shot from Napoli went over to Trauma. Trauma with the shot, and a nice stop by Waller gives all the momentum back to Post on the man down. Eagles ball, as they'll be able to kill off this man down penalty. And they come the other way now with the Nick Gallery across midfield. Sproul with space. That's McGrain as, once again, Post slows things down. You don't need to force anything or go quickly here. You're up 7. And again, like I kind of mentioned in the first half, this is the time of the game where you just want to waste as much clock as possible on these offensive possessions. You have an 80-second shot clock. Limit the amount of times that the Purple Knights can get offensive chances. And you're going to get a penalty in a moment here to Liam O'Neill, I believe. He was just all over Ryan DeKnight. However, with Post having the ball, they're going to just take their time with it and either let this shot clock expire or take a shot and allow that penalty to come in or score, and that would negate the penalty. A few different ways you can play this if you're Pat Iannarelli in the Eagles. Iannarelli in his second year at 18-14, technically the most winningest coach in program history. Set that earlier this year. Gabe Roman with a quick shot, and that's going to stay with Post. If we're going to get a penalty, we'll get the call right now. "30-second holding call on Liam O'Neill. He'll go to the box. 60-second shot clock, so shot clock reset because of the penalty. As a result, Post will be able to waste out the rest of this quarter if they so choose to. They'll at least get the 30-second man up if they choose to try and go for the goal on that. We'll see. Or they might just try and take this one to the 4th. Leading by at least 7 with the chance for an 8th. Take an 8-goal lead. And they will. As that's going to be Ryan DeKnight with another strike. I believe that's his 3rd of the afternoon. It is. Ryan DeKnight, have yourself a day, man. 7 points, tied for the team lead with Hunter McCarty. 3 goals, 4 assists. He's been all over the place for this Eagles team that now leads by 8 with 29.9 remaining in the 3rd. So face-off coming here. Eagles could go 2 for 1 before the end of the quarter. But it's going to be Bridgeport winning this one with Cullen. Cullen off to the races, shoots, and it fires it wide. Waller racing after it, can't get there. And it'll stay with the Purple Knights with 24 exactly on the clock. And we've got an injury now, it looks like. I don't know who it is. I think it's Jackson Holden, but I'm not 100% sure because some of the numbers look a little bit similar in terms of the shape of the 5s, 6s, and 9s, and 8s. Didn't quite see what happened on it, or if it was just the turf, or if he got hit going to the ground. Looks like they're checking out his knee right now. Being looked at by Alexis Scott on the field. Now laying on his back. Again, we don't want to show you it on the broadcast, but he giving you updates about it as they go on here. Currently getting his knee looked at is, I believe that is Jackson Holden. I can't quite 100% tell from here. We'll take a quick break here as, again, I believe it's Jackson Holden, but somebody's getting looked at on the field by the trainer. Post leading 13-5. Back up here at Lemoy Field, it was Jackson Holden. Holden being helped off with the assistance of the athletic trainer and his head coach, Pat Iannarelli. He is putting weight, I will say. I don't know which knee it was. Again, I don't want to speculate anything at all, but from what we saw, he kind of just went to the ground. I didn't see it in the moment. That's just what I was told. Holden, though, being helped off with the assistance of Coach Iannarelli as well as Alexis Scott, and still being helped now as we resume play here. We'll try and get an update as we go on here on how he's doing, as that shot is high by James Napoli. Holden seems to be putting weight on both legs right now, which is a good sign, but coming off very, very gingerly. And that shot by Goodrich goes high. 6 seconds left, 13-5. Post leads. Bridgeport looking to get one before the end of the quarter. They really need one too. Trailing by 8, it'll be a tough deficit to overcome at the end of this one. Shot from the top and a big score by Matthew Levantini with 0.7 seconds on the clock in the third. Post now leading by just 7. Levantini's fourth of the game, and it's a big one, as Bridgeport has some momentum now rolling into that fourth quarter after this next face-off because of the 0.7 seconds that remain on the clock. So once that hits 0, we'll take to a timeout. It's Post leading 13-6, as neither side will have a chance really to get a shot off here once they blow the whistle and let the kids play. And that'll do it. 13-6. We head to the fourth at Lemoy Field. Fourth quarter getting underway here at Lemoy Field. Post 15 minutes away from their third consecutive trip to the CACC semifinals, and it's just been all Post in this one. The Purple Knights got some momentum back at the end of the third. We'll see if they can carry that into the fourth now, trailing by 7. Eagles, though, with the ball to start things out, and it's Nick Gallery coming across midfield. A beautiful day of lacrosse here at Lemoy Field, mid-70s and sunny. We didn't have many of those days early on in the season. If you remember, well, actually you wouldn't remember because we didn't stream it, but earlier this year we played a game in the teens with wind chills near single digits here at Lemoy Field back in February, the home opener against Assumption. But beautiful end to the year here at Post, where it's been a relatively cooler spring than most. And the Eagles looking to steal back the momentum to start the fourth, and DeNike loses it, but it's picked up by McCarty behind the net. McCarty now over on the left side, working his way back towards the center, and it's going to be DeNike now getting it. DeNike throws it up top to Bryan, and he shoots high. It'll stay with Post with 18 on the shot clock. In his second season, Pat Iannarelli looking to get his team back to the CACC semifinals, and one step closer he is as Hunter McCarty with another goal. That's his 6th of the game, and he's got 8 points. I think we might have to get Ryan DeNike and Hunter McCarty up here for a post-game interview as long as this lead holds for Post, as they have both been really the magic sauce for this Eagles offense that has helped them out to this 14-6 lead. Aiden Waller in net so far with 7 saves on 13 total shot attempts. Face-off violation will be Bridgeport ball, and that's going to be D'Amico with it. D'Amico, I'm sorry, with it. Levantini, who's already got 4, looking to give Bridgeport a little bit of life here. There's still plenty of time, but the Knights have to hurry up on offense. And hurry they do, as Ashton Lankowski nets his 2nd of the second half. And just like that, Bridgeport with a quick strike back makes it a 14-7 game. Mentioned it at the top of the broadcast, this is not going to be a Purple Knights team that just lays down and dies. We saw them come out of the second half in last year's matchup and get back into it and tie it down the stretch at 13-all. Post won that game 16-13 in the CACC tournament last year. Have some work to do, though. As Post picks that one up, Sproul grabs it, and the Eagles will go back on the offensive attack. Shadows starting to creep in on the far side of the field as the sun goes towards the trees. We're still 3 hours away from sunset or so, but where it's going kind of creates a little bit of shadow on the opposite side of the field. Perfect for the fans as they're in the shade now. Gallery with it up top, 12 and a half minutes to go or so in the fourth. DeNike holding put with it in the corner. Now trying to go towards the middle. DeNike pushed out. And now defender falls to the ground. Roman with the shot. And it's saved by Mahusky. And it looks like that's Luca Runyon who's a little shaken up there. He's kind of limping. He's already got the knee wrapped up. He kind of just slipped to the ground on the turf, and another slip there by DeNike. He's okay. Gets back up. Jackson Holden is just laying on the trainer's table, it looks like right now for the Eagles. No longer being looked at. He's just laying on his stomach over there on the side, so we hope he's good. Probably won't see him the rest of this game, depending on the injury, obviously. See if he can play Wednesday. There's a few chances by Bridgeport thrown away as Waller makes the stops. Apologies for the delay in the action there. Luca Runyon off to our side right now being looked at, so he was a little shaken up on that play. Not sure. I think we heard a bang. Not sure if it was a helmet that he threw or something, but he's being checked by the athletic trainer now. Van George behind the net with it on the offensive side for Post. 11 minutes stand between Post and their third consecutive semifinals appearance, leading by 7. Right now, Bryan just taking his time. Runyon looks to be okay here on the side again. He was being looked at. And he's moving around. He's checking out. It looks like it was that knee that is wrapped up in some sort of soft brace, but it looks like he's trying to make his way back out there. Yeah, it looks like it was just a cramp for him. DeNike with it. Shoots, and it's saved by Mahusky. And out with it comes Bridgeport. 10 minutes to go, though. They're running out of time in regulation to try and get this game even. They got a lot of work to do if they want to make it to their first CACC semifinals in program history. Excuse me. Levantini with it. 4 goals already for him. And Runyon's ready to go back out there. He just said, Coach, I'm good. So good to see Luca Runyon's doing okay there on the sideline. Bridgeport offense looking to do something. We've already got 1 in this quarter. Throwing it down low was Lisa. It's lost by the Purple Knights. A little scrum for it, and it's going to be picked out there by Levantini. Nope, going to be lost. And Post coming away with it. That was Gavin Lee, and off to the races on the offensive side they come. Jalen Brown holding on to it. Brown racing down, and now trying to make a cut towards the middle. There's no Purple Knights defenders nearby. Brown shot, tried to get inside the left post, couldn't do so. Mahusky with the stop. It's now the Purple Knights. Need to start getting that offense going. You need to get a few goals. You need to score and then win faceoffs and then continue to go from there. And that's going to be a whistle called. I'm not sure what the call was. It looks like it was going to be on something for Bridgeport, but waiting to see what the call was. McCarty was off to the races with nobody near him, and still waiting for clarification on what exactly happened. I think they're just going to a restart, but for whatever reason, the way the restart went shouldn't have gone the way it did, so they're restarting again with 8:45 to go. Post with possession. Ryan DeNike holding on to it. 8.5 minutes to go in regulation. Post by 7. Just taking their time with it. Not a lot of action in the second half to really discuss either, as the action really was heavily in the first half. Especially in that first with 7 goals by Post. DeNike feeds it in front, and looks like it missed the stick of McGrain, who was streaking in, and is out at the top with Bryant. Brian to Cook. Cook still looking for that 3rd goal. That would get him to his 13th hat trick of the year. But the Eagles seem pretty content on just holding on to it for as much as possible, rightfully so, with a 7-goal lead. McCarty now tries to push his way forward and can't do so. Up top to Cook. Cook shot, saved by Mahusky. He'll stay here with 4 seconds on the shot clock. DeNike, quick restart. Oh my gosh, Leighton Cook, what a shot behind the back. Fed from Ryan DeNike over to Leighton Cook. The no-look shot by Mahusky with 1 second on the shot clock. What a beauty by Leighton Cook to get his 13th hat trick of the year. And Post regains an 8-goal advantage, 15-7. What a way to get a hat trick, too, for Leighton Cook. Left us speechless up here. So the Eagles now looking in pretty good shape to move on to the semifinals. Leading now by 8 at the halfway point of this fourth quarter. Waller's got it, and he's going to dangerously come out with it. A few Bridgeport defenders all around him, but he gets out of there. Pouliot across midfield, and he's going to be pushed down, and they're actually going to call that on Pouliot, so it's going to go to Bridgeport, and they will come back the other way, again in desperate need of some offense to get them back into this. Restart near midfield, Bridgeport's ball. And Bridgeport kind of taking their time too offensively. It seems like there's been not too much going on here, especially in the fourth quarter of this game. Trying to win the foot race over there for the ball as it's going to go out and remain with Bridgeport was Lankowski as they restart. Again, Bridgeport in need of something here to get themselves back into it with time winding down. Levantini works it in with 6 minutes to go. It's back up, shot. Taken by James Napoli is stopped and picked up by Post. And Nick Gallery comes the other way with it. And the Eagles offense really doesn't have to do too much if you're head coach Pat Iannarelli. Approach the 5-minute mark. Bridgeport once more with it. Neither team has called any timeouts here in the second half. For Post, they really haven't needed to as they've been in control pretty much the whole way. They survived that little scare from Levantini early on in the game that seemed to get looked to get the Purple Knights back into it. At that point, it was 9-4, but since then, the Eagles have really kind of dominated the possession and every facet of this game that they really haven't had to worry too much about anything. Bridgeport hasn't been able to cut this deficit down to less than 6 since that 7-1 start in the 6-0 run by the Eagles. They're looking for something here, and they will get it, as that's going to be Steven Trauma with his second of the game. 4:53 remaining, though, in the game. Big face-off if you're the Purple Knights. They gotta secure it the way Post has just been running down the clock. It's won by Bridgeport with under 5 to go. Joe Martin just had it and threw it over to James Napoli, and now Bridgeport trying to get their guys out there with one last gasp in hopes of getting themselves back into this and into their first CACC semifinals. A steep uphill, though, to do it if they want to. Lisa throws it across, and a little bit of a shove from behind. Yeah, that is going to get whistled. Schoenfelder was pushed from behind by the Post defense. I believe that was Cam Beckett. Couldn't quite tell. And they'll reset. Schoenfelder with it. 4 minutes to go in regulation. Bridgeport trailing by 7. Trauma Up top. To the right side to Lisa. James Napoli tries to work it in, but he can't do so. Trauma again. Bridgeport wasting a lot of clock here when they trail by 7. Lisa back up top, and Trauma's not going to be able to hold on to that. We'll see who wins the foot race. It's going to be Gavin Lee trying to get it. Nope, Gavin Lee can't come away with it. Coming away with it was James Napoli. Napoli rips the shot, and Waller with the save, but it stays with Bridgeport. 60-second shot clock with 3:32 remaining in regulation. At this point, it's a pretty steep climb for Bridgeport. There's going to be a flag. And now we're getting a little bit of a scuffle here as Ashton Lankowski letting frustration boil over a little, and the teams are going to tangle for a second in the offensive zone for Bridgeport. And to Post's credit there, you could hear them saying, just walk away. At this point, it's all elementary if you're the Eagles up 15-8. Don't do anything that's going to get you into trouble and potentially get you out of next game if you get ejected or anything. So very smart for them to just get out of there and avoid any further incidentals if anything's going to boil over here. So locked-in penalties is there's going to be unsportsmanlike conducts, rightfully so, given to Lankowski as well as, I believe they said Van George for the, yeah, it's going to be Van George. Both of them tangling up there, and the referee's doing a good job of getting that under control quickly, but also assessing penalties for their actions on both ends for what they did. So 3:25 remaining in regulation. Again, Bridgeport down by 7, needing to get back into it, and they get another goal right there. And that's going to be Stephen Trauma with a big goal to help the Purple Knights pull within 6. Again, those penalties are locked in, so no one's coming out of the box for the next 56 seconds, with the Eagles now trailing by just 6. The closest that the Purple Knights have been able to come in this affair, as they've primarily trailed by 7 or more since the early going of this one. But back within 6 now, and Sproul just took the face-off as Holden is still on the trainer's table. So, like I mentioned, probably wasn't going to come back in anyways, and Charlie Foster also taking face-off, so it's splitting time between Sproul and Foster, although I think that's just for now. I think next game you'll probably see Sproul with it a little more. Bridgeport, though, with one last chance. And that shot by Trauma is blocked, and Pouliot tries to pick it. He will. Less than 3 minutes to go again. And it's going to be a turnover on Pouliot and the Eagles, and restart it with Stephen Trauma. Bridgeport running out of time, but down 6 with 3 minutes to go. Ripping that shot at Schoenfelder. It's going to stay with Bridgeport with 2:39 to go. I got to think one of these two teams, if a goal is scored, will probably call a timeout to kind of settle, well, if you're Bridgeport, try and set stuff up down the stretch. And there it is. James Goodrich with the goal. And, yeah, they're going to, I think, get a timeout here. Nope, I thought for a second that head coach Pat Yanarelli was calling timeout. He was not. Again, unreleasable penalty. Still 6 seconds left on it, and Bridgeport's cut this deficit down to 5. So again, they're still showing signs of life, but it's going to have to start in the face-off dot. Got to win a few face-offs here if you're this Bridgeport team in hopes of pulling even down the stretch. It'd be quite the comeback if they're able to do it. Bridgeport wins the draw, too. And racing down is Connor Cullen, shot and score. And Bridgeport now trailing by just 4. We've got ourselves a game, folks, and Eagles aren't even calling timeout. If I'm the Eagles right now, I'd probably just call timeout to try and resettle everything down the stretch here. You've given up a few quick goals, and just like that, it's a 4-goal game. Charlie Foster now is back in the faceoff dot for the Eagles with 2:20 to go. As the Eagles lead by just 4. Bunch of quick goals there for the Purple Knights. They've scored 4 goals since the 4:53 mark, and now they're coming down yet again. Shot wide by D'Amico, and Bridgeport's going to call timeout with 2:05 to go. Don't go anywhere, folks. We've got ourselves a photo finish. It's now 15-11. Post leads. .208 to go in regulation, but this has become a ball game, folks, as down the stretch, the Purple Knights have scored 4 goals since the 4:53 mark. So just over 2.5 minutes, they've scored 4 goals, cutting their 8-goal deficit down to just 4. We talked about it earlier in the fourth. This is a team that wasn't just going to go down quietly, and they certainly haven't here. As there are 2 minutes to go, they trail by just 4, and looking to pull off what would be an improbable comeback here inside of 5 minutes to go. Out of the timeout, Steven Trauma with it, and now it's Lankowski. Lankowski throwing it behind the net to Schoenfelder. Excuse me, that's not Schoenfelder, that's Levantini, the 13, and that's going to be off the post. A big shot by Trauma. Very close to being a 3-goal game as it was off the post and will retain possession as Bridgeport. Another shot stopped, and it's going to be Liza behind the net. Liza feeds it across, and what a shot by Levantini. It's just a 3-goal game now. Not exactly the way, especially even if Post ends up winning this, as who knows what's going to happen at this point. Not the way you want to end this game, trying to get momentum going into the Wilmington game by giving up 5 consecutive goals down the stretch. Again, all in the last 3 minutes. Bridgeport, though, still has to get 3 more to tie it up. But they've been winning in the face-off circle. And they'll look to do so again. It's Charlie Foster taking the face-off. Won again by Bridgeport, and wasting no time with it is Cullen. And there's going to be a flag, and I believe it's going to be on Post. Believe they just called an illegal hit on Tom Pouliot. I couldn't quite understand what the call was. He pointed to his head, though. So a 1-minute penalty to Tom Pouliot. And as a result now, Bridgeport's going to have a chance to whittle this down to 2 goals with the man up. 1:20 still remaining in regulation. As, again, the Eagles are just on the verge of a complete collapse if they're not careful here. And Bridgeport going to that quick offense again. Shot, big save by Waller on Liza. And Gallery's going to get it out across midfield and throw it ahead. Cook with it. And timeout called by head coach Pat Iannarelli. A very smart one to reset the offense here with 1:04 to go. Eagles a man down, up by 3 with 1:04 to go when we return. Post-possession, 1:04 to go. They have allowed 5 goals since the 4:53 mark of this fourth quarter. And a big save by Aiden Waller just moments ago was able to get the Eagles out of harm's way. They are now on the offensive side of the field with 1:04 to go. If they can just hold on to this ball as long as possible, should be able to end this one. They're man down, though. And no flag thrown, but I can't see who it was. Wanted one. I believe that's Will Bryan. Not very happy with the no call there, but I'll be honest, I'm not very well versed in lacrosse to know if it should have been a call or not, so I'm not going to pretend like I know. And I believe we just got another timeout. So we'll take another break, get some more snacks. 59.2 left, and Post still leads by 3. And we're back. I just got done talking about how there was a lack of timeouts in the second half, and now we've had 3 timeouts in the last about 2 minutes. So you had plenty of time to breathe. The Eagles, though, right now holding their breath as they have dropped what was a 8-goal lead down to just 3. It looks like the net is empty for the Purple Knights, and Ryan DeNike is just wasting clock. I mean, Bridgeport's not even really going after him anymore when he's in that corner. Now they got 2 going after him, and DeNike just continued to waste clock. 40 seconds, and DeNike now to the net. He's just going to keep holding, and DeNike is just single-handedly wasting this entire possession as the Eagles also a man down. But they're not in any hurry. There's no need for them to score. You'd rather not give Bridgeport a chance to win some possessions. So right now they're just holding tight, and that is likely how it's going to be able to end here for the Eagles. I don't think they're going to take a shot. I wouldn't take a shot if I were them. It would just kind of rub an unnecessary wound into this one. They will not. And breathe easy, Eagles fans. Your men's lacrosse team is on to Wilmington. For the second straight year, it's deja vu at Lemoy Field. 365 days later, your post-university Eagles are headed back to the CACC semifinals, not without a little bit of heart palpitations in this one, though, as an 8-goal lead gets whittled down to 3 down the stretch, but Post comes out on top, 15-12. Don't go anywhere, though. Hunter McCarty and Ryan DeNike post-game interview coming up after this break. All right, we're back here with our two players of the game. First with Ryan DeNike, post-winning this one 15-12, holding off a late Bridgeport comeback. In this one, they led by 8 late. Ryan, you had eight points on the day, 3 goals, 5 assists. What was working for you offensively today?
They put a short stick on me, and everyone tells me we love that matchup, all my teammates and coaches, so I try to take advantage of that. My teammates do a good job getting open off of that, and it's easy to find them and score goals off of it.
And talk about those final minutes down the stretch. You guys had an 8-goal lead. They whittled it down to 3. What was the message in those few timeouts that you guys called to kind of recenter everybody to make that final push to hold on?
Just play our game. A lot of unfortunate penalties. Just got to clean that up. But coach just knew we had to get one more stop and then run out the clock on our end, and the game would be over. So
yeah, you were running all over the place down the stretch right there, and you guys obviously didn't want to score just to hold on to it. But
yeah.
With kind of Bridgeport taking that momentum from you guys after that strong start, the 7-1 lead, and you were up by, I believe it was 8 at one point, 9-1. What do you have to do now against Wilmington, the top seed, who you guys have, I believe, lost now 7 in a row to, dating back to 2018? What do you have to do to kind of get that momentum back after they stole it down the stretch and take this semifinals game and go to the first CACC championship in program history?
We just got to watch some film. I'm sure Coach has a great game plan cooked up for us. So just watch the film, repeat what we did in the first half, and I think we have a pretty good chance to beat Wilmington. So.
And then really quick, just talk about your offense this season. It's kind of come alive, especially down the stretch. I believe this is your 3rd or 4th 7-point-plus game. What has really gone into your offensive game this year, stepping things up?
Just the confidence all the guys have gave me. The 6 of us who are out there most of the time, like three new guys coming in, but we're together a lot off the field, and you can see it on the field with the chemistry we have. We all love each other, and we just push each other to be better every day. So,
Ryan, thank you very much, and we'll take Hunter McCarty now in here.
Thank you.
Hunter, you also had a big game, 6 goals, 2 assists, total of 8 points. What was working between you and Ryan tonight this game that kind of led you guys on offense? I mean, you guys accounted for 16 of the possible points that you had in total for today's game.
Yeah, I think the game plan really helped us a lot. Coach wrote up a great game plan for us, and we kind of just executed from there.
What were you seeing offensively that allowed you to score 6 goals? I mean, you were kind of everywhere, bodying guys out of the way, finding open space. You had a few where they were just kind of having lapses on defense. What were you seeing out there that worked?
Yeah, it was just the ball movement by all the other guys. I was just kind of got lucky to be the one that put it in the net at the end.
And then again, kind of like I asked Ryan, how did you guys recenter yourself down the stretch with that little run that Bridgeport made of 5-0 in the final 5 minutes?
Yeah, we kind of took our foot off the gas. It's a good lesson for us to learn till when we go on Wednesday and beat Wilmington.
And then trying to beat Wilmington for the first time since 2018. You guys lost to them by 10 goals earlier this year. What do you have to do down on that field to kind of flip the script on that game?
We kind of just have to be ourselves. Last time we played them this season, we weren't ourselves, and we didn't really work our strengths during the game. So we kind of just have to be ourselves. We have the game plan, and we have all the tools to win. So all we really have to do is win.
Hunter McCarty, Ryan DeNike. The Eagles win 15-12, holding off a late comeback by Bridgeport. They now head to Wilmington for the CACC semifinals, their 3rd consecutive trip there, in hopes of beating the Wildcats and advancing their first CACC championship game in program history. But for now, signing off from Lemoyne Field, Mike Vesci and the rest of the amazing crew from Lemoyne Field for the final time this spring. Final score, 15-12.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.